Today's episode is brought to you by America's Best Unlimited Network. Don't miss a show with unlimited data from T-Mobile.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Honest Trailer Commentaries, and we got a big one for you. It's Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2.
Ball 2.
And we're getting a little flack on this one in the comments there, Dan Spencer.
Some hot takes.
Because,
As we knew we would.
We went into this one knowing we might get a little heat on this. And let's get right to it, because we will watch the trailer. For those of you who don't normally watch the show, we will watch the whole trailer, talk about it, offer some deleted jokes we have. Yes, we have some deleted scenes. We do from the booth. But before we get to the trailer, let's just do some broad thoughts. Dan, what do you... Look, we went in knowing, and I specific, because I came in a little late because I was on vacation and chimed in at the end. Look, I like this movie. This is a good movie. I think it's a fun movie, but it's not a perfect movie.
No, and not every
movie is, right.
No, it's Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 was a fun movie. I laughed watching it. I had a good time watching it. There were some things that weren't as good as in the first movie, I thought. Like, it's a good movie. It's fun, but it's like people seem to think that Honest Trailer should be one of two things. Either we love every movie or we crap on every movie. And we're not here to do either one of those. Like, you know, if you watch the show, you kind of watch to get our perspective on it. And
this was our perspective.
This was our common perspective on it, was that Guardians of the Galaxy was fun. It was a good time. We enjoyed watching it, but it was maybe
and
not
I will
quite
even
as impactful
say
as the first one.
Really well-intentioned to give all these characters depth and arcs, but it just felt like it was on fast forward as far as the character development that they were trying to do in the movie. It was a lot of kind of like retroactively telling you the problems that these characters were going through instead of showing them to you. It was like, oh, remember Yondu, that kind of like side semi-antagonist from the first one? Well, actually, he's had this whole thing with the Ravagers, and there's this rule about trafficking children. He's actually a good guy because he was doing it to protect ego. And like they were trying to do a lot of character arcs because it's a big ensemble piece. There's like 7 of them, and they're just trying to do all of them on fast forward. It kind of reminded me of Ultron that way.
Yeah, well, yeah. It was
I would argue it's better than Ultron.
It is better than Ultron. I mean, we say it. It's better. We think it's ever better than every other Marvel Part 2, except for Winter Soldier. Like, it's better than Ultron. It's better than Thor 2. It's better than Iron Man 2. It's better than, a good, chunk of the Marvel movies. But I was with Spencer. Like, I like, my big thing with the movie was, like, particularly, like, Rocket and Yondu, who are two characters that, like, barely interacted at all in the first one. It just seemed like they had this kind of forced thing where it's like Rocket was kind of more of an a-hole in this one than he was in the first one, and the first one had kind of softened his character, like I'm part of a family now. Like they had all kind of gotten into this family thing, and then now all of this conflict arises again, and like Rocket has to be that character so that he and Yondu can have this big scene of like, we're the same, you and me, so you have to be really affected by what's happening with each other because we're the same person. And it just felt like it was a lot of telling, and yeah, I mean, I was with Spencer. It just felt like a lot of like, we have to tell you what these characters are feeling because we didn't.
They don't have their own movies to set it up.
Exactly.
And I was going to say, I would take it even further. Like, to me, it's like what I loved about the first one is there was just a lot of fun, original things. Like that, the prison break scene, for example, was like a really fun sequence that was sort of was surprising and unexpected and exciting. I didn't have any of those moments in this one as much. Like I totally agree with you on what you're saying about Yondu and Rocket, et cetera. But even on the rewatch, the first one I watched the movie the first time, I was like, that was fun. I left happy, good fluff, good job, everybody. That's a hard thing to pull off. They did a good adventure. But then on the second watch, like even the whole beginning, that first act is sort of, it's this point, got to get to A, got to get to B, got to get to C. Like it starts off in this really sort of rushed, weird way of like, okay, we're fighting a big alien. Got the batteries. There's the gold people. The gold people have to cue his dad. Oh, he has daddy issues. Oh, his dad saves them. Oh, here's his dad. It's like, it felt very by the numbers and the plot where I couldn't, like, there was nothing fun or different from the action, from the plotting. It just felt very much like, okay, I have to just go on this very specific line to get us to the point.
I feel like most movies are structured in a very similar way, like superhero movies and like that, but they didn't hide it well enough.
Yes.
Like, we were just noticing.
But to be credited, I think Guardians did a much better job at it because you're learning these things through the characters. You're learning about them as they go. Now we know the characters. So I felt like we were resorting to a lot of the same tricks. And I think there are good sequels. Winter Soldier is the perfect example of it. Did do different things. It did figure out a way to up it. And I think if they had not forced all those, all the coupling to happen, I feel like Drax and Mantis and
Gamora.
Well,
everyone had their sort of coupling. It's like if they had figured out a way, and like we said, they all sort of had to be jerks again to hate each other just to get to that point. Like I think they could have found a stronger internal struggle that actually divided them to make them come back together, and I don't feel like any of it was earned.
Well, they did that thing, and we actually, when we were writing this, I brought it up, and it was a weird, obscure point that didn't have room in the trailer. But like this movie reminded me a lot of Star Trek Beyond, because Star Trek Beyond did the same thing. They're all on the ship together. They're a crew. We've gone through with them 2 movies with Guardians. Their whole movie was about them coming together as a crew, and then immediately there's this big attack by these big aliens, and the ship crashes, and they split up, and it's like. The whole point of the last movie was they're learning to be a crew together. Just like with Star Trek, the whole point of those movies is they're learning to be a crew together. And then immediately in the movie, you crash and then they split up. Well, that whole dynamic of them together as a crew is lost because now you're dividing them again. And it's like, but that was the last movie, was bringing them together. And then you divide them again, so now they're divided again, and they have to learn to come back together again. But it's like, but they did that in the first movie. And it's, again, this is not something that ruins the movie, but it's the reason why a lot of people are angry because we call it forgettable, fun but forgettable. It's like, but that's kind of one of the reasons why I think we all came at it was, it's not that it's bad, it's just that there were some things in here that struck us as fans of Guardians and of Marvel that struck us as like, it felt like a step backward, and you were kind of having to invent conflict.
It was a deeper attempt at doing Guardians 1 again.
Right.
And whereas Guardians 1 was just a complete surprise. It's too bad that they can't, be a first impression again. But our first impression was like a movie where there was unexpected heart of these people overcoming each of their like personal demons. And those in the second one, all their personal demons are still there. So thematically, they didn't change it up at all.
Yeah. Well, I think it did have a little bit of the Marvel problem of like too many characters. Probably, I think is where I would argue maybe that's where the downfall was, because I think where I would have preferred a movie that just built their relationship stronger and had them work together, and instead, like you said, they're sort of, all right, we're getting save the galaxy, but we hate each other. You're a jerk. You're a dick. You're a douche. Like that's literally the first act of the movie, and then okay, we're splitting up. See ya. And then they come together at the end and save each other. But it's not a movie like this. The Guardians is why I love, and I like these characters, even in a sort of the team. I want to see the team together, and I want to see them earn their right together. And they don't really. I don't feel like it was ever earned or deserved of like them like actually saving each other and coming to know that they love each other. It just felt like that Yondu Rocket Raccoon scene was just so forced to sort of when they're separated and they have to have a reason like I'm you. It's just like it
literally says I'm you.
I just think
you're me.
But then I think we are being a little unfair because it's like it's so hard. I can't even imagine juggling all the things you have to juggle in a Marvel movie to keep the balls in the air. And a lot of people did enjoy it. So
no, and we're not saying people are wrong for enjoying it, but like there's so many people that's like, why are you guys being so critical? It's like that's literally what we do. Our job here with Honest Trailers is to take a movie and analyze it and say, did this work? Did this not work? As objectively as possible, taking off the fan hat and just looking at it as a movie. Like, if you want a video that tells you that every movie's great, that's fine. And there's a bunch out there, and we're not saying people are wrong that love this movie. Of course, if you love this movie, you're not wrong. But like, Honest Trailers, our job is to collectively get together. Sometimes we disagree. We happen to agree on this one. To collectively get together and say, taking the blinders off and looking at this movie objectively, how did we, with obviously a little humor thrown in, what do we think of this movie? What is the real truth behind this movie?
I also think maybe unfairly, because it's not the movie's fault, it was this movie came out in like a second renaissance of superhero films, where this year we got Logan, Wonder Woman, and Homecoming, which I just all liked more. And that's not any fault of this movie. It's just it came out in the context of 3 films that
came out before a lot of those. Well,
after Logan.
When we were writing this Honest Trailer was this last week,
happened,
so
right.
we had all watched all of those and like seen even more potential in this genre, and this just seemed like another like fun popcorn movie.
Yeah.
So
right, and hey, you're allowed to like a big fun popcorn movie.
Yeah.
I think that's what it's just it is. I don't see how it's better than the first one, which is a lot of the arguments to say.
Yeah.
I mean, I can see why, I guess, in that if you love these characters enough, you're on a fun adventure, and the stakes do feel higher in a way, and the Yondu thing and all that stuff just makes it feel like it's a greater stake movie, but I don't know. I would argue it's rushed to that. It's not as earned.
Right. Well, no, the Peter Yondu thing is not. The movie's not about Peter and Yondu. The movie's about Peter and Ego for a while, and then Ego turns into a big space monster. And like, I completely lost the track on that story at that point, because all of that development just goes away for a big fight. And then Peter and Yondu, again, like that's a big emotional punch at the end of the movie for sure. But that whole relationship wasn't necessarily really established that much in the first movie,
Right.
and then they kind of retroactively try to tell you why it's so
They added the
emotional
scene
and
of them
important in
fishing
this movie.
together.
Yeah, and it's like it just didn't. We're not saying it's bad. We're just saying like this is why we're
didn't
saying
affect
it's not
us
maybe as
as well
effective
as we
as some of
would
the
have
other.
liked.
We're dead
Exactly.
inside.
Yes.
Yeah.
That
There you go.
that is it. We are dead inside and we're killing cinema.
Yeah.
All right. Let's watch the trailer, shall we?
Yes, let's.
From Marvel and James Gunn, the director and studio who surprised everyone with Guardians of the Galaxy, comes a cool-looking, super fun, laugh out loud, but ultimately kind of forgettable sequel.
That's what-
What? It's still better than all the other Marvel
People start
Part 2s,
commenting at that point.
except
At that
for
point.
when
Wait, what? You didn't love it?
Pause. Keyboard
Well,
cat.
it's weird.
Guardians of the Galaxy, Volume 2.
Here, if you pause, like there was a point, and we, because I remember when, yeah, this was yesterday. I remember yesterday.
Back when.
There was a point there were points that were harsher when we in the first
see in
draft.
the deleted scenes.
Yes. And I think we did want to make a point of like, all right, because I think it's easy to be honest, but then it's also easy to be like, this movie's fun, screw this. Like, it is a fine line you got to
can fall
walk
off that edge really
Don't
easily,
just go to
yeah.
that snarky, harsh line just because you didn't like a movie. Like, how do we make sure we're being
or because you can,
Right.
Like just because you can say a snarky remark, it's like, but does that movie deserve it? And I think there were a few that were in there that we were like, we could say this here, but do we really need to? And is it really even honest? And I think we decided.
Look, we said it's cool, it's fun, or cool looking, fun, and laugh out loud funny, and then forgettable. Like, that's 3 positive things to 1 bad one.
Well, guess which one people are going to latch on to.
I do think, though, as time progresses, this one will be more forgettable.
Well,
than
can
the
we
others.
say that part of this reason was we were doing our backlog of honest trailer commentaries, and we got to Age of Ultron, and we realized that we hedged. In
little
our
bit
minds, we
blinded,
hedged way
yeah.
too much in the trailer itself, apologizing for us thinking that it was just kind of okay. And
History
we
has
found that
borne us
history
out.
has kind of borne us out that like
We were one of the pioneers to sort of push Ultron the other way.
Yeah,
like,
it's like
not
it's
that good.
fine. It's good, but not great. And we had all collectively agreed watching it back. Like, wow, we
could have been
really shouldn't have
harsher.
hedged our bets.
Yeah.
We should have just said what we thought. And so we did that with this one. And I feel like
We'll see.
we're bearing a little bit of a brunt of it now.
Now we're on the internet
but
saying it. So
we'll see how history and time judge it. Yeah.
Blast off again with Marvel's Space Avengers, a team of misfits who learned how to work together in their first movie, then turned back into a-holes so they could learn it all over again.
You like a professional ass or what?
In this playful action comedy where the
Hole
heroes
instead
never
of
really
ass?
get
Is that
hurt,
what the rule is? What we do?
It's simply fun.
the danger never really feels that imminent.
When Drax was bouncing on those trees,
ridiculous.
it was like
Definitely
Looney
don't
Tunes.
I
fall
was
flat.
thinking, to
Pause.
what
Let's be
extent is Drax invulnerable?
Not even that, but just all the hits the thing takes, and then even Gamora's holding on to the rope. Like how she's like Hulk. Like she's that strong.
She gets blown up a couple
She was
times in this
green.
movie. And I guess it's like they're aliens, so they're just stronger
It
than us.
just
But there's
felt
like
a little
falls
lazy.
from gigantic heights.
Yeah.
Like you just stop thinking that they're ever in danger when you see them repeatedly not get hurt. I know they're aliens or the gravity's different or he's part god, but just looking at it, your pulse stops rising because you know that they'll be fine.
It's like, haha, he's just getting hit by all the trees.
I
And
did
then-
want to put a clock on, and I forgot we didn't. I guess another third we didn't follow through. I wanted to put a clock on Gamora versus Yondu as far as space exposure because I feel like
Space exposure.
space exposure
like
was
he would
much
survive that.
quicker. Much quicker on Yondu than it was.
Or if they
And
just
I
changed
thought-
masks
I
once
thought
back
Peter
and forth.
Quill, but he tries to do it.
he tries to and he can't. Yeah.
For some reason.
Yeah, I mean, I get why, but again, that is an example of somewhere we could have gone. Like, well, Gamora was exposed to space for 47 seconds in the first Guardians of the Galaxy, but Yondu clearly dies after 12 seconds. That's the kind of thing I think that we were just like, do we really want to go down that road? Probably not.
Can't nitpick.
Yeah,
Keep it general.
yeah.
Honest, they aren't as funny as the characters think they are.
This was a pet peeve of mine.
Yeah, it's a funny movie. Let us laugh.
Let us laugh.
Okay, guys.
Well, the funny thing is, I was like, we've done this before, and then Spencer reminded me.
We did this in the grown-ups trailer. They're all laughing at
Funny, I
themselves.
know. Scale it back a little.
So yeah, go rewatch our Grown Up Size trailer. It's literally
Hey,
the same
let
run.
me decide when to laugh, all right? Ugh, just shut up.
Yeah,
Yeah,
just
Joe,
pause real
with all
quick.
your-
The one that really bothered me the most was Taserface, because that was a funny
Yeah.
joke. But the character of Rocket laughing that hard at it actually took me out of it a little bit, because I'm like, it's funny, but like,
Let me decide how funny.
It's just like the movie was just like telling me how funny that joke was, and it's like it's a funny joke, but it feels like the movie kind of like we saw it's like kept selling us like Drax laughing. It started as a Drax laughing around me. He laughs so much. It's like in little bits and places that's funny when he's laughing at Peter.
Right,
but
that's the character in a way.
That's the character.
So how does Rocket know what a taser is? It's an American brand name.
It's just a funny sounding name. I'll give him a pat. Taserface is just kind of funny sounding. I don't know. Maybe Peter Quill brought one back.
It's like Frisbee head. Like
Frisbee head.
Whatever.
I mean, he does know a lot of electronics. You think he'd figure out taser.
Yeah.
Taser. Maybe that's a universal word. Like
Phaser.
Like snow. Okay. Fair enough.
I don't know.
Catch up with all your favorite heroes like Star-Lord, who discovers he's the son of a god and a moron.
Well, I don't know what you're talking about, but I like the way you say it.
Gamora, who ditches the strong silent badass trope to become a strong silent badass with the more interesting sister. And ad for
Nebula.
Baby Groot
Yeah, Nebula's
toys.
good.
Rocket, whose eyes don't work, apparently.
Damn it! I'm using my left eye.
Apparently they do have sight issues,
That's how
raccoons.
But
eyesight
he's not a
works, you
raccoon.
stupid raccoon.
He just looks like a raccoon.
It's a
Miss
weird
something?
thing.
Newcomer Mantis, with the power of getting roasted by everyone.
Yeah, we should have said everyone. That was our one
I never
mistake.
thought you'd be able to
Because
do
all we
that
show is
so we could
Drax.
skin
Gamora
yourself,
roaster
actually.
too. We took that clip out for some reason.
Yeah, that was just a last minute edit.
Including herself.
F-up.
I'm
So
certainly
people called us
grateful
out
to
for
be
that.
ugly.
Okay, I'm
And
sorry. We
Drax,
should have said
the
getting
once
roasted by
trained
Drax.
warrior,
Yes.
who's become an aggressively dumb sex freak.
Did you make a penis? I like a woman with some meat on her bones. My father would tell the story of impregnating my mother. I have sensitive nipples. It would make my nether regions engorge.
Oh. Look, you have a good thing going with Drax. Don't take it too far and Urkel your best
I
character.
did like Drax the
Pause.
best.
His thing is that he doesn't get metaphor. Not that he's like a completely unfiltered like sex animal.
Yeah, that was yeah. I know Andy. You asked us about the whole Urkel thing.
Yeah.
like that. We weren't saying like is Urkel a pervert? Like not to our
I
knowledge.
couldn't remember. It was like, is that season 5 when he
yeah,
turned
no,
when he
Urkel's
had
a
sex with
pervert.
Lara?
He was
And
pretty
thirsty the whole time.
He was pretty thirsty. But no, it was the idea of taking a character because like Drax in the first movie was my favorite character, and just like nothing.
I liked him better in this one.
I would catch it.
I liked him way better in the first one.
It wasn't that he was bad in this one. It's just that if you look at Drax in the first movie, and if you look at Drax in this movie, his character is so heightened from one to the next. I think what you're saying is like, not so much in this movie, but like, don't take Drax so broad that he's like a caricature of what he was in the first one, because that was hilarious.
He didn't get a lot of serious moments. Although he did get that one, which I love, where Mantis holds his arm while he's thinking about his dead family.
That was great.
That was a great moment in
Yeah.
the movie.
That
you
was
get the
awesome.
sense he's no longer really hung up on his dead family, apart from that one scene.
Right,
Like,
well,
for the rest of the
no,
time,
but
he's just
it-
like, my dick's hard.
I thought
I'm
it was a
Drax."
really great scene because you're like, oh, because he's not really crying about it. It's always in him. So I did think that helped a ton.
But he was like the stealth assassin in the first movie. Like he would just, there would be a regular scene going
also a
on,
dummy,
and
though.
then
He
he
calls-
would say something so funny.
He calls Ronan and thinks he's gonna beat him with his knife. I mean, he's kind of a dummy in the
but that
first
was
one
a
too.
serious
Bloodthirsty.
scene.
Yeah, it was a serious
Sure.
scene. Yeah.
He would diffuse scenes with humor when you
Yeah.
didn't expect it, and here he's like the cause, and he's the alpha and the omega of
He's
the
the
jokes in
setup
the
and
movie.
the punchline
Yeah.
of the jokes, and yeah, I think it's just like Drax is great, but like over Drax can be.
Don't over Drax.
Don't over
over
Drax.
Drax it.
Don't over Drax.
Prepare for an episode of My Two Dads in Space.
3 viewers that
In
know
a
My Two
film
Dads.
that's so high on friends being your real family, you'll swear you're watching a Fast and Furious movie.
I finally found my family.
I thought you already had.
You are not friends. You're right. We're family. I don't have friends.
We should have put a great shot at the end.
Space Dad 1 is Ego, the living planet of exposition.
I call it the expansion. It is my purpose.
Pause. This
Now,
was an add-on later because I in the rewatch he's just all he does.
He's just there to explain
He
the
literally
rules.
only is there to tell Peter everything of all. I went and did this, and then I went and did.
He has
5
that whole
more.
like egg chamber all set up to
Yeah,
like
it's
reveal
literally-
dioramas of his stages of his life. Like he's been waiting for eternity just to
He
explain
shows
things.
up. He blows them up to get them to the point, and then comes in and tells them what it is, and then takes them to the planet to tell them what it is, and then at the end has to tell them again what it really is. It's like that. Literally, his whole purpose is to explain things.
Yeah.
Which was, I think, a weird missed opportunity of like that could have been a more interesting, sneakier trick of like him actually, because he sort of tells the true story, but then it's not the true. It's
Yeah.
like, why didn't he just tell a whole fib to get Star-Lord on board, and then reveal, oh, it's way more evil than that.
It's a credit to Kurt Russell. I mean, it's just,
he made it likable.
He made it work because he's Kurt Russell, and
Yeah,
as we
just
say,
running
everything's
out.
better with Kurt Russell. I mean, like he made that character work because of his delivery and his. When he brings to
I
that
agree,
role.
but I the more and more I think about it and after the rewatch, I just feel like it wasn't as, it could have been stronger because he's not really lying to him at any point. He's sort of just hiding certain points of the truth.
He's not telling the entire truth.
And and it's like, but then at the end he is like, well, fine, I'll do without you. Like, what was his end game? Did he want to actually work with Star-Lord? Or did he not?
Yeah, he wanted
And
Star-Lord to voluntarily become...
But I didn't buy I wish there had been a little bit more of a father in him that was disappointed in his son. Is what I feel like would have been an interesting layer that there was missing.
That's where I lost it. Is like when that turn happened, he ceased to become the dad, and he just becomes
like,
big bad blue space guy.
Exactly, and it's like, what a missed opportunity. Like, oh, so now he's missing his dad, and you're missing your son. Like, it's even a better conflict that should have been even more heightened and actually stronger. And it's just.
In a way, you wonder if they had
40 minutes of laser.
No, but in a way, you wonder if like they made this one more about the conflict between Yondu and Ego, and at the end he loses his father, and you end this movie on a kind of reconciliatory note of Yondu is now one of the Guardians, and you establish this thing of like you even say at the end of the movie you have Yondu say he may have been your father, but he wasn't your daddy, and you leave Yondu alive, and then in 3. You do that gut punch of.
I agree.
I wonder if that might have, for us, and we're not, again, this is our opinion, but
Well,
I wonder if that might have been more effective.
I think you could have also had Yondu more in that battle. Like, I think if you had just made, because another
was
pet
there
peeve,
whistling.
No, but my pet peeve is like it was so obvious Ego was bad. Like, it's just like all the characters can't figure it out until the end. But it's like you're watching.
Well, you can
as
tell
a viewer,
from the moment Mantis is like, I have a secret, I shouldn't tell you something.
You sort of can tell from the beginning, like, okay, clearly this is going to go awry, and which was fine. But then I wish they would have made him sneakier and actually a villain. Or have the conflict of I want a son, and then telling him a whole ball of yarn, and then suddenly Yondu's like, why don't you tell him about how you actually killed his mom and gave her the cancer? Like, what? And then it's like there could have been layers on layers that made it more interesting for Peter to then not only find his dad, but then be actually deceived and like his dad's off. It just I wish it could have been a little more effective.
Well,
for me.
that was the other thing that kind of took me out of it, and it was a point I wish we could have fit in, but again, it was a really odd point that even in watching in the theaters was the fact that, and I think that these were probably worked on in a vacuum, but the fact that Civil War and Guardians 2, the entire dramatic linchpin of the story, both focused on almost the exact same moment. There's the moment in Civil War when Cap is trying to talk Tony down, and he says, I don't care, he killed my mom, and he just like goes into Iron Man mode and starts that big huge fight. And then this one literally has the same moment as Star-Lord says, you shouldn't have killed my mom, and that's what gets him to start the big fight with Ego.
Which I like that moment.
That's a great moment, but again, like as I step back from it, I'm like, that is kind of like it's almost the exact same motivation behind both of these movies' big dramatic turning points.
And Civil War managed to scale it back from what you thought was going to be the giant battle at the end to like a small character thing, and then this one just went.
And is it
huge space fart clouds, space
billion lasers? There's a bomb on
that
a
ending
brain.
Makes no damn sense.
They're asking each other for tape, for scotch tape, for like 20 minutes, which was funny. But then again, you're just like, well, no one's going to get hurt because they're just running around asking for office supplies.
Yeah, I don't know. A lot of people say, "Oh, that's really nitpicky." It's like, well, I mean, that's kind of like just like as a fan,
I did like seeing Star-Lord and Rocket flying around
and
together. Like that's what I'm paying to see. But yeah, the finale and the core, and then what's the gold people's name?
The
Sovereign showing up to like I don't know.
That was a double beat with them and the thing.
The Sovereign I wasn't a fan of either. It just felt like, oh, you stole our batteries. We must get out. And now they're going to create Adam Warlock and be an important part. I'm like,
yeah. But anyway, again, like as a fan of the series, like even 2 Marvel movies in a row, kind of on that same exact emotional note, I was like, okay.
So literally now all the Guardians, the trilogy, it's going to be because Rocket stole batteries from a gold douchebag aliens is now going to stem what happens.
Is that going to send them to Earth? Because I was confused.
I guess Thanos is well, not to spoil it, but yeah, the footage at Thor brings them to Earth.
Right.
Oh, okay. Yeah, maybe
Thor maybe brings them to Earth.
Who knows? I don't know where Thor
is. It is yours. As he proves, everything's better with Kurt Russell, making Ego the Living Planet grounded and relatable, until he goes full Marvel villain and becomes a blue alien made of sky beams who wants to rule the universe. While Space Dad 2 proves that everything is better with Michael Rooker, as Yondu is retconned into a good guy who just wanted to be a good pappy.
Yeah, he destroyed something.
At least the
That'll
Dairy
be
Queen.
At least the Dairy Queen.
You think Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. will have an episode with them cleaning up a big solid blob?
Maybe.
Where did this come
that's
from?
If they're
very
allowed,
possible.
if they even let them touch it.
If they're allowed to touch the Guardians blobs? I mean, but that would be fascinating. They should.
Yeah.
Reverse, while Space Dad 2 proves that everything is better with Michael Rooker, as Yondu is retconned into a good guy who just wanted to be a good pappy, all to create maximum emotional impact
like
when he's
that.
killed off in the most tragic Marvel death
I
since...
like that they did it. It just, I didn't buy it.
No.
Just a late
she was in
ad.
her 90s, so... He came back, he came back, he came back, he came back, twice. He came
That's
back
a
on
comic
TV.
books thing, but yeah, they're pretty guilty
Quicksilver?
of it.
Eh.
No one's ever
Wow,
dead in the comic.
I guess it's Yondu by default.
I'm very popular, y'all.
So get ready for a great time at the theater as they bring back everything you loved about the first movie.
Yeah, it brings
the
back everything you
music,
loved.
the slow-mo
I'd say it's
walks, and the
positive.
insane visuals.
Really
to
good
the
visuals.
things you didn't
Really
think could come back, like the laughing at the dumb name bit.
Star-Lord.
Who?
Your name is... It's Taserface?
Yeah.
Rocket having someone
It's a
steal
little
a
bit
fake
of
body
comedy
part
sequel
for it.
problem.
I
Is
was
like,
just kidding
our
about
biggest
the leg.
jokes.
What? No, I
Steal them again.
thought
again.
it'd be funny. Wasn't funny? He's not gonna know where his eye is!
And undercutting most of the serious dramatic moments with jokes, even the emotional
Which I
climax
liked
of
in
the
that
film.
first movie.
I tried
Some people didn't.
so hard to find the form that best suited you.
Is this supposed to laugh?
It's okay, Marvel. We've been following these movies for
Oh,
10
it's
years
David
now.
Hasselhoff,
You can
guys.
let us go without a
I
chuckle
know.
for 10 minutes.
They referenced him earlier, remember?
Father, I've always wanted.
This is great.
Excuse me. Gotta take a whiz.
Maybe not. Starring Arthur Meme, Han Brolo, Greena, Warrior Princess, Big Blue Beetleborg,
she's
Drac
Warrior.
Shepherd, I am
So
Mirth,
stupid.
Star Fox, do a barrel roll, Whistle while you murk, Mantis Toboggan,
I don't get it.
Ego, the
Always
Slutty
Sunny in
Planet,
Philadelphia. Come on, guys.
and Ready Player One. Dad Rock, the movie.
I like that.
It's called a Zune. It's what everybody's
tag.
listening to on Earth nowadays.
Uh-oh, the Zune is from the early 2000s. I don't think Star-Lord's gonna be happy when he finds out what happened to rock and roll.
Cut my life into pieces. This is my last resort.
Oh no!
Yeah, come on, Jordan Vaught Roberts. That's funny.
The Zune.
The Zune.
So, no, wait, does that mean the timeline of Marvel movies is during the Zune period and not the iPad?
Well, this
Lifetime
technically
pod?
takes place in 2014, right?
what
Because
date
it's
these
a
are?
few months after
They
Guardians.
do say dates.
Yeah, really? Oh, I don't know. I
Well,
just
the beginning,
assumed,
right? They go back to time. No,
Like one of the Ravagers like picked it up in a raid somewhere
Right,
at
this
some
is-
point along the line.
keeps charging
Spider-Man
it.
Homecoming
Keeps
really
it
messed the
charged.
timeline up because technically now for the Guardians to catch up to where we currently are, they're gonna have to skip like 3 or 4 years ahead, which they may.
well, space travel can screw up the timeline
That's true.
too.
Time dilation.
Yeah.
Even Kevin Feige's admitted they don't. They sort of
don't
don't
care.
pay attention to the years.
Yeah, that's-
it
that's
doesn't.
fine.
I don't,
Present
I don't-
day,
yeah,
wherever
present
you
day
are.
is this. Well, there it is, man. We got some flack, but not always. Hey, that's I think time will telltale. Yeah, I don't know if I want to watch this one with James Gunn though.
No, I don't think I'd want to watch it with James.
I love James Gunn. I feel bad.
I just think
we criticize it, but it is what it is.
We've had Marvel shit, it's like, we do Civil War and say it's great. DC shills. We do Winter Soldier and say it's great. DC shills. We do Guardians and say it's okay. Screw you! It's like, or Marvel
Can't
shills
win.
is what they're
Can't
saying.
win.
They're saying they're Marvel shills, not DC shills. But yeah, if we say it's great, we're called Marvel shills. If we say it's okay, we're called, whatever. There's no way.
Can't win.
Can't
please
win.
everyone.
We can't please everyone.
Gotta just please yourself.
I'm sure if we do a complimentary...
Please yourself.
Yeah,
If
please
there's
yourself.
one thing you take away from this video, it's go please yourself.
yourself.
Do we have some outtakes to watch? Let's
Yeah.
do it.
What? Come on. It's not the movie's fault it came out the same year as Logan, Wonder Woman, and Homecoming. I wish I could forget Iron Man 2.
I want my board.
Newcomer Mantis with the powers of a chloroform-soaked rag. Starring
There wasn't even
Peter
darker.
Quips.
Yeah.
Whoa, Green Weaver. Sister.
Did I do Drax?
Trash Panda. Captain Jack Arrow. Mary Poppins, y'all. Emoji Girl. That's No Moon. Space Avengers. Age of Loltron.
We almost went with that.
I like that one. That's the one
Star
I'm
Trek. Discography.
I like that one. I would have picked that one, maybe.
I wonder why.
But I could use delight to build cool things.
Well, it might take you a few million years of practice.
Wow, so Star-Lord can harness a celestial force that he had almost no training using to defeat Ego, a way more powerful and experienced force user. Wanna marry Sue?
Pause.
This was my little bone to pick because I felt like that was the exact of all the complaining that was done about The Force Awakens. This movie has Peter Quill, who's just been introduced to this very powerful force fighting Ego, who's very experienced millennia using this force, and he's able to tap into his emotions, harness it, and use it to defeat an emotionally compromised opponent, and everyone's fine with it. But for some reason, when Rey does the same thing, it becomes a whole conversation. It's like, yeah,
it's because she's a woman.
Number one.
Ding, ding, ding.
But also, like, number one, it's a movie, and number two, it's like that just goes to show you, like, that's drama, that's sci-fi,
dramatic license. You're allowed to.
Do we think he'll get the Force again later? Just cause?
No, it went out.
No, it's gone. I think it's gone. But look, it's comic. Anything can happen.
The giant still has some Force.
Yeah,
things
some forces left in his battery.
He beat Thanos.
The giant brain at the center of the planet got blown up, Andy. There's no more. No, it couldn't be more logical.
Celestials made their home planet.
Yeah. Stan Lee will just give it to him again.
Excelsior. Yeah.
I like that game.
Yeah,
But
good
I thought it was
Papa Roach did win.
Papa Roach was better. But yeah, that was just really bugged me that you did not hear that same debate around the ending of this movie that you did around The Force Awakens, and I thought it was pretty much the same setup completely. And
we have one more alt ending. What is it?
This is so much fun. I have no clue what's happening at all.
Whole ending where they're fighting the planet
fighting rocks
itself.
with his little metal arrow?
Why can't the planet just like kill
Can't break it?
everyone? I don't know.
I was thinking exactly. Why can't you just like remove the oxygen from the planet and then they'd all just die immediately?
Yeah.
They should have had like masks on to avoid that.
Right, just like
He's removing the oxygen, and then Rocket, of course, would have that in his pocket.
open
like,
up the ground.
like he has
into
everything.
The core of the planet, like melt them.
Yeah.
Melt everybody. You'd think it would be easier.
Yeah, it was kind of like Inception. Like, why didn't he make bigger guns or fly around? Like, because a million things he could have done that would have been kind of a cooler
Matrix
Matrix
the movie
ending.
wouldn't be over, and the Guardians would be dead, and everyone would be really, really upset.
But that's why the
with
finale
James
should have
Gunn
just
and
been
Marvel.
like more of a one-on-one thing, or like they sever his connection to the brain early on, so it's just like a weakened version. He just has to fight Kurt Russell.
We've knocked into that. I did like the moment where all the Guardians are getting swallowed up by the Earth, and then Peter's got to pull it from his heart to stop it all.
Yes.
That was a fun, emotional moment.
It was a very good emotional and effective emotional moment, as it was in The Force Awakens when Rey did the exact same thing. Sorry.
Well, there we go, guys. That was it, right? That's all the outtakes we had? Yes.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts? I feel like we really
I think we exhausted
drew our line in the sand on that. This movie.
It's this thing of like people are going to say we hate this movie now
No.
because we didn't say it
We'll
was the
say
greatest thing in
it's
the
good.
world.
It's a fun movie.
We expressed our reservations, but it is a good movie worth seeing.
I think the other reason we're being particular is because I love these characters. I think James Gunn has created amazing characters and amazing universe that I will see 10 more installments if he decides to make them. But I, as a fan of the characters, I don't know. I think all fans, they get a little particular, like I want this, I want that, I want that, whether it's fair or not. And I think that's just where my criticism is coming from. Of just I wanted to see them together as a team, doing a little bit more and something different, and it felt like a little bit of a rehash.
Yeah.
Final thoughts, guys? Dan Merle.
I'm final thought it out.
Thought it out.
Yeah, thought it out.
Spencer J. Gilbert.
Them's my thoughts.
And I'm Andy Signer. Always happy to share our thoughts with you guys. And we'll be here next week for another honest trailer with another reaction to a. I don't even. What movie is it? Oh, that.
Wait,
yeah, no one's gonna know what that
next
means.
week. Is
Let's leave that. Yeah, don't do anything else.
Next week's something different.
Yeah, so you'll see. Stay tuned. Oh, it's not that.
No, next week is the other thing we're working on.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Okay.
So, a lot in the works.
There's
Stay
a lot
tuned.
in the works.
Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you then. Bye-bye.
Thanks again to T-Mobile for sponsoring today's episode. Check out what makes them America's best unlimited network at T-Mobile.com/coverage.